Introduction: The AI Wealth Divide. Why the next 5 years will decide the rest of your financial life. Take a slow breath for a moment. Because what you are about to hear is not motivational talk, not internet hype, and not a get-rich-quick fantasy. What you are about to hear is a calm, uncomfortable truth about money, technology, and time, and once you see it clearly, it becomes impossible to unsee. For most of human history, wealth followed a simple rule. You worked harder, you earned more. You stayed loyal, you were rewarded. You followed the system, and eventually the system took care of you. It's that belief built careers, families, and entire generations. But today, that rule is quietly breaking, not loudly, not dramatically, but invisibly in the background. While most people are distracted by headlines, entertainment, and short-term thinking, artificial intelligence is not just changing how work is done, it is changing who gets paid, why they get paid, and how long they remain relevant. And the most dangerous thing about this shift is not that it is happening. It is that it is happening faster than most people emotionally realize. Right now, millions of intelligent, hardworking people are making what feels like safe decisions. They are saving diligently. They are working honestly. They are planning responsibly. And yet, many of them are unknowingly standing on the wrong side of the greatest wealth transfer in modern history. Not because they are lazy, not because they are incapable, but because they are operating with an outdated mental model of how money is created in a world driven by automation and leverage. Here is a question that may feel uncomfortable. If your income requires your constant presence, your constant effort, and your constant availability, what happens the moment technology learns to do that task faster, cheaper, and without rest? The answer is not personal. It is structural. And structure always wins over effort in the long run. This is not a video about fear. Fear will appear, because fear is simply awareness arriving late. The goal here is not to scare you. The goal is to position you, because history shows us something very clear. Every major technological revolution creates two groups of people. One group uses the new tools to multiply their output. The other group competes against the tools and slowly loses leverage without even realizing it. The Industrial Revolution rewarded factory owners more than factory workers. The internet rewarded platform builders more than users. And artificial intelligence will reward system owners more than task performers. This does not mean traditional work disappears overnight. It means the ceiling collapses quietly. Income becomes capped. Growth slows. Competition increases. And what once felt stable begins to feel fragile. Many people sense this already, even if they cannot fully articulate it. They feel busier, but less ahead. They earn more nominally, but feel poorer in reality. They work harder, but move slower financially. That feeling is not a personal failure. It is a signal. The truth is, AI does not eliminate opportunity. It concentrates it. It compresses decades of progress into years and years into months. And those who understand how to position themselves as owners, not operators, will experience a level of leverage that was once reserved only for large corporations. This video exists because the conversation around AI wealth is dangerously shallow. Most discussions focus on tools, prompts, or trends. Very few focus on structure, psychology, and long-term financial positioning. And that is exactly what separates noise from signal. Over the next 70 to 80 minutes, you are not going to hear about easy money or overnight success. Instead, you are going to see how ordinary individuals are quietly building extraordinary income streams by aligning themselves with how AI actually creates value, not how social media dramatizes it. The 5 businesses we will explore in this video share a common foundation. They do not rely on massive teams. They do not require viral fame, and they do not demand constant supervision. Instead, they rely on systems that work continuously, consistently, and predictably. But before we explore those businesses, we must address something more important. Why this moment matters so much. Time has always been the most underestimated variable in wealth creation. People think in years, but wealth compounds in decades. The problem today is that technology is compressing time itself. Decisions that once took 10 years to matter now take 2. Skills that once lasted a lifetime can now become obsolete in a single market cycle. And the margin for hesitation is shrinking faster than most people are emotionally prepared for. This is why urgency matters, not rushed urgency, but strategic urgency, the kind that forces clarity, the kind that makes you ask better questions, the kind that moves you from passive consumption to deliberate positioning. Here is another uncomfortable question, but an essential one. If nothing changed in your financial life for the next 5 years, no major breakthroughs, no lucky breaks, no unexpected windfalls, would you be satisfied with where you would end up? Not where you hope to end up, but where momentum is realistically carrying you. Most people avoid this question because it reveals a gap between effort and outcome, between intention and structure. And that gap is where AI-powered businesses quietly operate. The purpose of the next 5 sections is not just to show you what is possible, but to help you reframe how you think about income itself. Instead of asking, how do I work more? The question becomes, how do I design systems that work without me? Instead of asking, how do I get paid for my time? The question becomes, how do I get paid for decisions, frameworks, and automation? This shift in thinking is subtle, but once it clicks, everything changes. You begin to see why some people seem to accelerate financially, while others stagnate despite similar intelligence and effort. The difference is not motivation, it is leverage. Leverage can come from capital, code, media, or systems. Artificial intelligence combines all 4. That is why this moment is so powerful, and why it is also so unforgiving to those who ignore it. Now, it is important to be clear about something. Not every AI business is worth pursuing. Many are oversaturated, poorly structured, or dependent on constant manual effort disguised as automation. This video filters through that noise. What you are about to see are business models that scale because of their structure, not because of hype. Each of the 5 AI businesses we will cover solves a real problem that already exists. They do not need to invent demand. They simply need to organize it better, faster, and more intelligently than traditional approaches. And that is exactly where AI excels. As we move forward, you may notice moments where ideas repeat or concepts are reinforced from different angles. This is intentional. True understanding does not come from hearing something once. It comes from seeing the same truth through multiple lenses until it becomes obvious. By the end of this video, you will not just understand 5 AI businesses. You will understand why they work, who they are for, and how they fit into a larger strategy of long-term wealth creation. And most importantly, you will begin to see money not as something you chase, but as something that flows toward well-designed systems. In the next section, we will begin with the first AI business, one that looks simple on the surface, but quietly generates leverage at scale by turning wasted effort into compounding value. Most people overlook it because it feels too obvious. That is precisely why it works. First is AI business, the AI content repurposing business. Turning forgotten content into compounding income, let's begin this section with a simple but revealing observation. Every single day, millions of hours of valuable content are created, uploaded, published, and then quietly forgotten. Podcasts that took weeks to plan. Videos that required research, lighting, scripting, editing. Long-form content that contains insight, expertise, and real value, yet reaches only a fraction of the audience it deserves. This is not because the content is bad, just because attention is fragmented, distribution is inefficient. And most creators and businesses simply do not have the time or systems to extract the full value from what they have already created. This is where the AI content repurposing business quietly enters the picture. On the surface, it sounds simple. Take one piece of long-form content and turn it into many smaller pieces. But beneath that simplicity is a powerful economic truth. Creating content is expensive. Repurposing content is leverage. And leverage, when applied consistently, compounds. Most businesses and creators operate in a constant cycle of creation. They believe the only way forward is to produce more, post more, record more, and stay endlessly active. What they fail to realize is that their biggest growth opportunity is not ahead of them. It is behind them, sitting inside content that already exists, already costs time and money, already contains proven ideas. Artificial intelligence changes this equation completely. AI does not need inspiration. It does not need motivation. It does not get tired. It does not ask for creative breaks. Instead, it excels at extraction. It identifies highlights, detects emotional peaks, converts long ideas into short, digestible formats that match how modern audiences consume information. This business model is powerful because it aligns perfectly with human behavior. Attention today is short, fragmented, and mobile. People rarely sit down to consume an hour-long podcast, but they will watch a 30-second clip. They will read a short caption. They will engage with a concise insight delivered at the right moment. AI content repurposing bridges the gap between deep value and short attention. Now, let's talk about why this is a business, not just a skill. Businesses, coaches, influencers, educators, and brands already understand that content matters. What they lack is consistency, speed, and scale. They either do not have the team to repurpose content daily, or they do not want the overhead of managing one. This creates a perfect opportunity for a system-based service. When you offer AI-powered content repurposing, you are not selling videos or captions. We're selling visibility, relevance, and momentum. Momentum is incredibly valuable. In the digital world, accounts that post consistently are favored by algorithms. Brands that show up daily feel larger than they are. Creators who dominate feeds appear authoritative, even if their audience never sees the original long-form content. This perceived authority translates directly into trust, and trust translates into money. Here is where the leverage becomes obvious. With AI, one person can manage the repurposing workflow for multiple clients simultaneously. The same system, once designed, can be reused again and again. The marginal cost of adding a new client drops dramatically, while the perceived value for the client remains high. This is the core of scalable business design. Think about it from the client's perspective. They already invested time, money, and energy into creating long-form content. When you show them how that single asset can fuel their social presence for weeks or even months, the decision becomes emotional, not just logical. They feel relief. They feel efficiency. They feel smart for finally maximizing what they already own. This is why this business thrives on retainers. Clients do not want one-off repurposing. They want ongoing presence. They want systems that run in the background while they focus on their core work. Monthly retainers create predictability for you and peace of mind for them. And predictability is the foundation of long-term wealth. Another reason this model works so well is that it is industry agnostic. It does not matter whether your client is a real estate agent, a financial advisor, a fitness coach, a startup founder, or a YouTube creator. If they speak, teach, explain, or educate, they produce content that can be repurposed. This dramatically expands your potential market and reduces dependency on any single niche. Now let's address an important misconception. Many people assume this business is overcrowded or saturated. In reality, most offerings in this space are inconsistent, manual, or poorly systemized. What separates a real business from a freelancer is not talent, it is structure. When you position yourself as someone who installs a repeatable system rather than performing ad hoc editing, you move into a different category entirely. You are no longer competing on price. You are competing on reliability. Reliability is rare. Rare things command premiums. The most successful AI content repurposing businesses do not chase every possible client. They specialize in outcomes. They focus on clarity, consistency, and measurable presence. They help clients show up everywhere without feeling overwhelmed. That emotional benefit is just as important as the content itself. There's also a subtle psychological advantage to this business. Clients see results quickly. Engagement rises, visibility improves, comments increase. That immediate feedback reinforces the value of the service and reduces churn. Businesses love services that make them look good publicly because public success reinforces private confidence. From an operational standpoint, this model is ideal for zero-employee scaling. AI handles transcription. AI identifies highlights. AI generates captions. AI formats content for different platforms. Your role becomes quality control, system optimization, and client communication, not endless manual labor. Over time, even those touchpoints can be partially automated. This is how one person builds what looks like a team, but there is a deeper lesson here. One that goes beyond content. This business teaches a fundamental wealth principle. Value is often not created by doing more, but by extracting more from what already exists. The same principle applies to investing, relationships, and systems. Those who learn to maximize assets outperform those who constantly chase new ones. Before we move on, it is important to understand why this business fits perfectly at the beginning of this list. It trains your mind to think in systems. It introduces you to leverage without requiring large capital. It builds recurring income that can later be reinvested into higher-order compounding strategies. Many people underestimate businesses like this because they look simple. But simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity, when paired with consistency, is power. As we transition to the next business, keep this idea in mind. Content repurposing turns wasted effort into momentum. The next business turns mist. Conversations into money automatically, continuously, and without human presence. Because visibility is powerful, but conversion is everything. In the next section, we will explore how AI sales chatbots quietly transform attention into revenue, and why businesses are willing to pay premium fees for something that never sleeps, never hesitates, and never forgets to follow up. When you are ready, move forward, because this is where automation starts to feel very real. Second, Easy Business AI sales chatbots, turning silent visitors into automated revenue. Let's start this section with the truth that most businesses do not want to admit. The majority of their potential customers do not leave because they are uninterested. They leave because they are unanswered. They visit a website, scroll for a moment, feel a spark of curiosity, and then encounter silence. No guidance, no clarity, it's no reassurance. And in that silence, doubt grows. Doubt delays action. Delay quietly kills revenue. This is not a technology problem. It is a human problem. People crave immediacy. They want answers now, not tomorrow, not after a callback, not after filling out a form that disappears into a digital void. In a world trained by instant messaging and real-time feedback, waiting feels like rejection. And businesses pay for that gap every single day without realizing it. AI sales chatbots exist precisely to fill that gap. At first glance, many people underestimate chatbots. They imagine clumsy scripts, robotic responses. Modern AI-driven sales chatbots are not rigid tools. They are adaptive systems designed to simulate attentive presence. They respond instantly, adjust tone, handle objections, qualify intent, and guide users toward the next logical step, all without human intervention. This business works because it aligns with the most basic rule of sales. Momentum matters. Interest is fragile, peaks quickly and fades just as fast. When someone asks a question, they are signaling readiness. When it is met with delay, the opportunity evaporates. From the business owner's perspective, this is painful. They spend money on ads, content, SEO, and branding, all to bring traffic to their digital doorstep. And then, at the most critical moment, they fail to engage. AI sales chatbots protect that investment. They ensure that attention does not leak out through silence. Now let's talk about why this is a powerful business model for someone building wealth without employees. AI sales chatbots are infrastructure. Once installed, they work continuously. They do not require motivation. They do not forget to follow up. They do not have good days and bad days. They simply execute. and execution, when consistent, produces predictable outcomes. Predictability is what businesses pay for. The value proposition here is not the chatbot itself. It is the outcome it produces. More booked calls, more qualified leads, more completed purchases, more captured emails. When you frame the service around revenue protection and revenue growth, pricing becomes secondary. Businesses understand lost opportunity intuitively. They feel it emotionally. That emotional awareness makes the decision to adopt automation easier. Another reason this model scales so well is that it benefits from specialization without requiring deep industry expertise. The core conversational frameworks are universal. Greet the visitor, identify intent, address common objections, offer a next step. The AI handles the language. You design the flow. Over time, these flows become templates. Templates become systems. Systems become leverage. This is how one person manages dozens of clients simultaneously. The beauty of this business lies in its invisibility. It works well, no one notices it. Visitors feel guided, not sold. Business owners simply see better numbers. That subtlety increases retention because clients do not feel like they are using a tool. They feel like their business has matured. There is also a powerful psychological layer here. Humans respond differently when they feel attended to. Even knowing that a chatbot is automated, people still engage more when there is immediate response. Speed creates trust. Clarity creates comfort. Comfort reduces friction. And reduced friction increases action. From a revenue standpoint, AI sales chatbot services are naturally recurring. Them once and forget them. They want ongoing optimization, new offers, seasonal changes, updated messaging. This creates long-term client relationships without increasing operational complexity. Importantly, efficiency. Proving conversion by a small percentage can outperform massive increases in effort. AI excels at these marginal gains, and marginal gains compound quietly over time. Many people try to scale by doing more. More ads, more posts, more outreach. But the most efficient path is often to improve what already exists. AI sales chatbots do exactly that. That is leverage. In its purest form, it is also worth noting that this business benefits from a powerful external force: normalization. As consumers become more comfortable interacting with AI, resistance drops. What once felt novel becomes expected. Businesses that lag behind begin to feel outdated. And when something becomes expected, it becomes necessary. Necessary services are rarely canceled. From an operational standpoint, this model fits perfectly into a zero-employee structure. Notifications alert you only when intervention is required. Your role becomes oversight, strategy, and relationship management. This is the highest leverage position you can occupy. Now, take a moment to zoom out. The first business showed how AI turns wasted effort into momentum. This business shows how AI turns attention into revenue. The pattern is beginning to form. Each model moves one step closer to automation, predictability, and compounding value. And yet, there is still a critical gap in most businesses. A moment after interest is captured, after the conversation begins, we will explore a business that lives precisely in that gap. Conversation advances it. AI business number 3, AI appointment setters. Capturing opportunity before it disappears. There is a silent graveyard in the modern economy, and most people never see it. It is filled with missed calls, unanswered messages, forgotten follow-ups, and delayed responses. Inside that graveyard lie opportunities that once showed interest, once leaned forward, and once considered taking action, but ultimately disappeared. Not because the product was bad, not because the price was wrong, but because no one responded in time. Speed is not a luxury in business anymore. It is a requirement. Attention has a short half-life, and intent decays quickly. When someone reaches out, asks a question, or requests information, they are signaling readiness. That signal is fleeting. If it is not captured and guided immediately, it fades. And once it fades, it rarely returns. This is the problem. AI appointment setters solve. At a surface level, appointment setting seems simple. Book a call, confirm the time, send a reminder. At its scale, it becomes one of the most fragile parts of any business. Humans forget. Humans get busy. Humans misread messages. Humans delay responses. AI does none of these things. AI executes consistently, without emotion, without fatigue, and without distraction. The power of this business lies in its position within the revenue pipeline. AI appointment setters sit between interest and commitment. They take a curious prospect and turn them into a scheduled conversation. That conversion point is extremely valuable because it represents intent crystallizing into action. Businesses understand this intuitively. They feel the pain of missed bookings. They experience the frustration of empty calendars. They know how expensive leads are and how costly it is when those leads go nowhere. From the client's perspective, AI appointment setters feel like relief. They remove friction. They restore order. Create the sense that the business is responsive, professional, and organized. Even if the final sale is handled by a human, the AI has already done the heavy lifting by ensuring the opportunity reaches that stage. This is why businesses across industries adopt this system. Doctors, lawyers, consultants, real estate agents, coaches, service providers, and agencies all depend on booked appointments. Their revenue is directly tied to calendar efficiency. Empty slots represent lost income. AI appointment setters protect that income by ensuring every inquiry is handled promptly and intelligently. Now let's talk about why this is such a powerful model for someone building wealth without employees. First, the task is repetitive, rule-based, and process-driven. This is exactly the kind of work AI excels at. Once the logic is defined, how to respond, how to qualify, how to book, how to remind, the system runs indefinitely. One setup can serve dozens of clients. The marginal cost of expansion is low, but the perceived value remains high. Second, this business benefits from outcome-based pricing. Clients do not care about the technology itself. They care about filled calendars, care about reduced no-shows, they care about smoother workflows. When you tie your service to these outcomes, you are no longer selling software. You are selling peace of mind. Peace of mind is expensive. There is also a subtle psychological advantage to this model. Many business owners know they are losing opportunities, but they do not know exactly where or how. When you present AI appointment setting as a way to eliminate uncertainty, the decision becomes easier. Uncertainty creates stress. Systems reduce stress. People pay to reduce stress. Operationally, this business fits perfectly into a zero-employee structure. AI handles inbound messages, qualifies prospects, integrates with calendars, sends confirmations, and issues reminders. Analytics. Track performance. Alerts notify you only when intervention is required. Your role becomes oversight, optimization, and relationship management. This is leverage in action. Over time, as you refine your systems, you begin to see patterns. Certain messages convert better. Certain flows reduce no-shows. Certain industries respond faster. These insights compound. Each client makes the system smarter. Each iteration improves performance. This feedback loop is one of the most underappreciated aspects of AI-based businesses. It is also worth noting that this business is resilient. Economic conditions change. Markets fluctuate. Trends come and go. But as long as businesses depend on conversations to generate revenue, appointment setting remains essential. Essential services endure. Enduring services compound. Now, zoom out and look at the progression so far. The first business showed how AI extracts value from existing effort. The second business showed how AI converts attention into engagement. This third business shows how AI ensures engagement becomes action. Each step moves closer to revenue certainty. Each step reduces reliance on human availability. Each step increases predictability. But there is still a deeper layer of inefficiency hiding inside most organizations, one that does not involve missed calls or empty calendars, but something far more subtle. a layer where decisions are delayed, insights are buried, and data quietly accumulates without direction. In the next section, we'll explore an AI business that operates at this deeper level, a business that turns confusion into clarity, and raw information into actionable intelligence. Because once execution is automated, the next bottleneck is understanding. AI business number 4, AI data cleanup and automation. Turning information chaos into strategic power, most people assume that modern businesses are powered by data. In theory, this sounds correct. In reality, most businesses are drowning in data while starving for clarity. They collect numbers, metrics, reports, spreadsheets, dashboards, and logs, but very little of it is clean, organized, or actionable. Information piles up faster than decisions can be made, and instead of empowering leadership, data quietly slows everything down. This is where one of the most overlooked but powerful AI businesses exists. AI data cleanup and automation does not look exciting from the outside. It does not involve flashy visuals or viral clips. It operates behind the scenes, quietly restructuring the nervous system of a business. And because it is invisible to the public, most people underestimate its value. That is precisely why it pays so well. Bad data creates bad decisions. Slow data creates delayed decisions. Confusing data creates no decisions at all. Executives feel this pain every day, even if they do not always articulate it clearly. They sense inefficiency. They feel uncertainty. They know information exists somewhere in the system, but accessing it feels frustrating, time-consuming, and unreliable. AI changes this dynamic by acting as a translator between raw information and human understanding. At its core, this business takes messy, inconsistent, fragmented data and turns it into clean, structured, usable intelligence. AI can standardize formats, remove duplicates, detect errors, categorize information, and surface patterns that humans would miss or take weeks to identify. What once required teams of analysts can now be handled by automated pipelines running continuously in the background. This business works because it addresses a problem that grows with success. The more a company scales, the messier its data becomes. More tools, more platforms, more integrations, more spreadsheets. Growth without structure creates complexity, and complexity without automation creates friction. AI data cleanup services reduce that friction. From the client's perspective, the value feels immediate. Reports become readable. Dashboards become trustworthy. Meetings become shorter. Decisions become faster. Confidence increases. When leadership trusts their data, they act decisively. Decisive organizations outperform hesitant ones every single time. This is why companies pay premium fees for this service. You are not selling data cleaning, you are selling clarity. And clarity at the executive level is incredibly valuable. Now let's talk about why this business is especially powerful for someone building wealth with 0 employees. First, this model benefits heavily from standardization. While each client's data may look different, the underlying problems are remarkably similar. Inconsistent naming, missing fields, duplicate entries. Once you design a robust AI-powered workflow to handle these issues, it can be reused across clients with minimal adjustment.
Wow.
The system does most of the work. You manage the logic. Second, this business scales quietly. There are no public deliverables that invite constant feedback or revisions. The work happens in the background. Clients judge success by outcomes, not aesthetics. That reduces emotional labor and simplifies operations. Quiet businesses are often the most sustainable. Third, this service naturally attracts serious clients. Companies that care about data quality tend to be established, revenue-generating, and long-term focused. They are not looking for experiments. They're looking for reliability. That makes them ideal for retainers and long-term contracts. There is also a deeper strategic lesson embedded in this business. Wealth does not come from information alone. comes from the ability to act on information faster and more accurately than others. AI data automation shortens the distance between insight and action. That advantage compounds over time. Operationally, this business fits perfectly into a zero-employee structure. AI handles ingestion, cleaning, categorization, and reporting. Automation handles scheduling and updates. Monitoring tools alert you only when anomalies occur. Your role is to design, oversee, and refine systems, not manually manipulate data. This is the highest leverage use of human attention. It is important to understand why this business sits later in the sequence. The earlier models dealt with visibility, engagement, and execution. This one deals with intelligence. It operates at a higher altitude. Instead of influencing customers, it influences decision makers. Instead of optimizing touch points, it optimizes strategy. Businesses that master this layer gain a quiet but decisive edge. They move faster. They waste less. They allocate resources more effectively. Over time, these small advantages compound into dominant positions. From a financial perspective, this business also has strong defensive qualities. During uncertain economic periods, companies may reduce marketing spend or delay expansion. But they rarely abandon the need for accurate data. In fact, uncertainty increases the demand for clarity. This makes AI data cleanup services resilient. Across cycles. Now, take a moment to connect the pattern. The first business extracted value from effort. The second converted attention into conversation. The third ensured conversation became action. This fourth business ensures action is guided by truth. Each layer removes noise. Each layer increases leverage. Each layer moves further, away from manual labor and closer to systemic advantage. But there is still one level above this. Even with clean data, automated workflows, and optimized processes, there remains one final bottleneck in every organization. A bottleneck that does not involve systems, spreadsheets, or dashboards, but something far more human: decision fatigue. In the final AI business, we will explore how automation moves beyond tasks and data and begins to protect the most valuable resource of all: focused human judgment. AI business number 5, AI executive assistant systems. Protecting focus, eliminating noise, and buying back time at the highest levels of performance. The greatest enemy is no longer a lack of opportunity. It is overload. Too many messages, too many decisions, too many small demands competing for attention. The most valuable people in any organization are not overwhelmed because they lack discipline. They are overwhelmed because their cognitive bandwidth is constantly being taxed by noise, emails, calendars, reminders, follow-ups, scheduling conflicts, information requests, each one small on its own, but devastating in aggregate. This is the problem AI executive assistant systems solve. To understand the power of this business, you must first understand how modern work actually breaks down. High-level professionals do not spend most of their time doing hard tasks. They spend it context switching, responding, remembering, reprioritizing, making micro-decisions that drain energy without producing proportional value. Over time, this cognitive friction reduces clarity, slows judgment, and quietly erodes performance. AI executive assistant systems are not about replacing people. They are about protecting focus. These systems manage inboxes intelligently. They triage messages based on urgency and relevance. They summarize long threads into actionable insights. They draft responses for approval. They schedule meetings, resolve conflicts, send reminders, and follow up automatically. They act as a cognitive filter between the executive and the digital world. What makes this business especially powerful is that it operates at the highest leverage point in any organization: decision-making capacity. When you reduce noise for a decision maker, you improve every downstream outcome. Better focus leads to better choices. Better choices lead to better strategy. Better strategy compounds over time. From the client's perspective, the value is deeply emotional. They feel lighter, feel more in control. They feel less reactive. This emotional relief is not temporary. It persists as long as the system runs, and because humans adapt quickly to improvements in quality of life, they are extremely reluctant to give them up. This creates extraordinary retention. Now let's talk about why this is such a powerful business. For someone building wealth with 0 employees, first, the pricing power is significant. Executives do not compare this service to software subscriptions. They compare it to human assistance, lost time, and reduced performance. When framed correctly, the cost becomes negligible relative to the benefit. Saving even a few hours of high-quality focus per week justifies premium fees. And premium fees change everything. Second, the scope is narrow but deep. You are not serving thousands of users. You are serving a small number of high-value clients. This reduces operational complexity while increasing revenue density. One well-designed system can support multiple executives without additional staff, because the AI handles execution and automation handles coordination. Third, this business benefits from long-term stability. Once an executive's workflow is integrated into an AI assistant system, switching away becomes costly, not financially, but cognitively. They would have to reintroduce chaos. It rarely happens. Stability creates compounding income. Operationally, this business is about system design, not task execution. AI models handle language. Automation tools handle triggers and workflows. Calendars, email platforms, and messaging systems integrate seamlessly. Your role is to architect the flow of information so that only what matters reaches the human mind. This is design work at a strategic level. There is also a deeper insight here, one that connects directly to long-term wealth creation. Money follows leverage. Leverage follows judgment. And judgment requires clarity. By protecting clarity, you indirectly protect wealth. This business also represents the final evolution of the sequence we have been building. The first business optimized effort. The second optimized attention. The third, optimized execution. The fourth, optimized intelligence. This fifth business optimizes decision quality. Decision quality sits above all systems. It determines which opportunities are pursued, which risks are avoided, and which strategies compound. That is why this business feels different. It is quieter, smaller, more selective. But its impact is disproportionate. It is also why very few people talk about it openly. This is not a mass market opportunity. It is a precision one. And precision businesses tend to be the most profitable because they solve problems that cannot be easily quantified but are deeply felt. Another reason this business works so well in a 0-employee structure is that it teaches you to think like an architect. You stop measuring success by how busy you are. You start measuring it by how little intervention is required. The goal is not activity. The goal is flow. Over time, as you refine these systems, you begin to see patterns in human behavior. What interrupts focus most often? What decisions repeat unnecessarily? What information can be delayed, summarized, or eliminated entirely? These insights are transferable, improve not just client outcomes, but your own life and business. As well, this is the quiet advantage of working close to high performers. You absorb how leverage actually works at the top, not in theory, but in practice. Now, take a moment to reflect on the entire progression so far. We began with visibility and momentum. We moved through conversion and execution. We addressed clarity and intelligence. And we arrived at focus and judgment. This is not just a list of businesses. It is a map of value creation in the modern economy. Each layer builds on the one below it. Each layer reduces dependence on human labor. Each layer increases the role of systems, and this is where the conversation must shift. Because businesses alone do not create wealth, they create cash flow. Wealth is what you build when cash flow is directed intelligently over time. Without the right mindset, systems, and patience, even high income can dissolve. With the right framework, modest income can compound into something extraordinary. In the next section, we will step back from specific businesses and explore the psychology of wealth itself. We will examine why some people escape the cycle of constant effort, while others remain trapped inside it, even with access to the same tools, because the final transformation is not technological. It is mental. Wealth psychology and systems thinking: why some people escape the money cycle, and most never do at this point in the video. Something important should feel different, not excited in a superficial way, but clearer, more grounded. By now, it should be obvious that wealth is not primarily a function of intelligence, effort, or even opportunity. It is a function of structure, and structure begins in the mind before it ever appears in the world. Most people live inside what can only be described as a linear money mindset. They believe effort produces income, income produces security, and security produces peace. On the surface, this seems logical. But in reality, this mindset creates a trap where progress is always tied to personal energy, time, and presence. The moment effort stops, income stops. The moment income stops, anxiety begins. And so the cycle repeats. This is not because people lack ambition. It is because they were never taught to think in systems. Systems thinking is the mental shift that separates earners from builders and builders from owners. It is the understanding that outcomes are not driven by isolated actions, but by repeatable processes. A system does not ask how hard you work today. A system only asks whether it is functioning. If it is functioning, results appear, regardless of your mood, motivation, or availability. This is why wealthy individuals obsess over systems and ignore appearances. They are not impressed by busyness. They are not impressed by hustle. They are impressed by leverage. Leverage is the ability to produce results disproportionate to effort. Artificial intelligence magnifies this principle, but it does not create it. It simply exposes it more clearly. There is also a psychological barrier that keeps many people trapped: the need to feel useful in visible ways. Many people subconsciously associate worth with activity. They feel uncomfortable when systems work without them. They feel unnecessary. This discomfort leads them to insert themselves back into processes that should be automated. Over time, this self-sabotage prevents scale. True wealth requires a different emotional posture. It requires comfort with invisibility, comfort with delayed gratification, comfort with letting systems do the work while you step back and think. This is not laziness. It is discipline at a higher level. Another key psychological distinction between earners and owners is how they relate to time. Earners trade time for money. Earners trade decisions for outcomes. The earlier businesses in this video demonstrate this progression clearly. At first, you design workflows. Then you refine them. Eventually, your involvement shifts from execution to direction. That shift is where wealth begins to compound. Compounding itself is not just a financial concept. It is a behavioral one. Small advantages applied consistently create exponential outcomes. The problem is that compounding is invisible in the beginning. Progress feels slow. Results feel underwhelming. This is where most people quit, not because the system does not work, but because their expectations are misaligned with reality. Wealthy individuals understand this. They expect boredom. They expect monotony. Expect long periods of quiet progress followed by sudden acceleration. This expectation protects them from emotional decision-making. They do not abandon systems prematurely. They refine them patiently. There is also an important mindset shift around risk. Most people associate risk with action. They believe doing something new is risky, while staying the same is safe. In reality, the opposite is often true. In a rapidly changing environment, standing still is one of the riskiest positions you can take. Systems thinking reframes risk as dependency. The more dependent you are on a single income source, a single role, or a single set of skills, the more fragile your financial life becomes. AI-powered businesses reduce this fragility. Because they separate income from presence, they create buffers. They buy time. Time allows learning. Learning improves decisions. Better decisions improve systems. And improved systems compound. This is why wealth psychology matters more than tactics. Without the right mindset, Even the best tools are misused. People chase optimization instead of architecture. They focus on speed instead of direction. They confuse movement with progress. Systems thinkers ask different questions. They ask how value flows. They ask where friction exists. They ask which activities produce lasting impact and which simply consume energy. Over time, these questions lead to simpler lives and stronger outcomes. Another subtle but powerful shift is how wealthy individuals define success. They do not define it as income alone. They define it as optionality. The ability to choose how to spend time. The ability to walk away from bad opportunities. The ability to say no without fear. AI-powered systems accelerate this because they reduce dependence on constant effort. By now, it should be clear that the 5 businesses discussed earlier are not endpoints. They are entry points. They generate cash flow, yes, but more importantly, they train you to think in leverage, automation, and structure. They pull you out of survival mode and into design mode. And design mode is where wealth is built. But even systems, if left unmanaged, can drift. Cash flow, if left undirected, can disappear. This is why the final piece of the puzzle matters so much. Piece most people never truly understand until it is too late. That piece is compounding. In the final section, we'll bring everything together. We'll connect AI-driven income systems thinking and long-term investing into a single coherent framework, a framework that explains how modest, automated cash flow, when directed intelligently, can quietly transform an entire financial future. This is where income becomes wealth. This is where effort becomes freedom. And this is where most people finally see what they have been missing all along.
Finally, from income to wealth. Why compounding is the final skill that changes everything. If you have stayed with this video until now, pause for a moment and recognize something important. You are already in a minority. Not because this content was difficult, but because most people never slow down long enough to think deeply about money, structure, and long-term direction. They skim, they jump, they look for shortcuts, and in doing so, they miss the very thing that actually creates wealth: patience combined with systems. By now, it should be clear that artificial intelligence is not the end goal. AI is not the destination. AI is the accelerator. It compresses time. It multiplies output. It reduces friction. But acceleration alone does not determine where you end up. Direction does. This is where many people fail. They build income, but not stability. They increase cash flow, but not clarity. They make money, but do not build wealth. And the reason is simple. Income feels immediate. Compounding feels abstract. Income pays bills. Compounding builds futures. Compounding is often described in mathematical terms, but its true power is psychological. Compounding rewards consistency more than intensity. It rewards patience more than brilliance. And it rewards those who understand that progress is not linear. It is exponential, but only after a long period of apparent stagnation. This is why most people never benefit from compounding. They quit too early. They change direction too often. They expect visible results before the system has time to mature. They underestimate how long it takes for momentum to build. And they overestimate what should happen in the short term. Wealthy individuals think differently. They understand that the early stages of compounding feel slow by design. They expect it. They plan for it. They build structures that allow them to stay invested, emotionally and financially, long enough for the curve to bend. Now connect this back to AI-driven income. When income is automated, it becomes predictable. When income is predictable, it can be allocated intentionally. When allocation is intentional, compounding becomes inevitable. This is the hidden advantage of systems-based businesses. They remove chaos. They reduce emotional decision-making. They create space for long-term thinking. Most people never reach this stage because they remain trapped in reaction mode. They earn, they spend, they repeat. There is no buffer, no strategy, no compounding engine quietly running in the background, just motion without direction. The goal is not to become rich quickly. The goal is to become unbreakable slowly. Unbreakable financially means you're not dependent on one client, one paycheck, one trend, or one skill. It means your income feeds systems, and your systems feed assets. Assets grow whether you're watching them or not. That is real leverage. This is why the concept of compounding deserves its own deep exploration. Because once you understand it, your behavior changes. You stop chasing noise. Trajectory matters more than speed. Two people can earn the same income and end up in completely different financial realities, depending on how that income is structured, allocated, and allowed to grow over time. One remains trapped in effort. The other escapes into ownership. The difference is not luck, it is design. And design always beats force. This video was designed to shift your thinking away from tactics and toward architecture, away from short-term wins and toward long-term positioning, away from dependence and toward leverage. If that shift has begun to take place in your mind, then this video has done its job. But this is not where the journey ends. In fact, this is where it truly begins. Because understanding how to generate automated income is only half the equation. The other half is understanding how to direct that income in a way that compounds quietly, relentlessly, and predictably over time. That is exactly what the next video on your screen is about. In that video, we break down the power of compounding in practical, real-world terms. Not theory, not hype, but how small, disciplined decisions, made consistently, can reshape an entire financial future. How time becomes an ally instead of an enemy. And how wealth is built not through constant effort, but through intelligent patience. If you found value in this video, do not let momentum fade. Momentum is fragile. It must be acted on while clarity is high. Click the video on your screen now and continue the journey. Let the ideas connect. Let the system complete itself. Remember this. Income gives you options. Systems give you stability. Compounding gives you freedom. And freedom is never built in moments of urgency. It is built quietly over time by those who understand how leverage truly works.